Guys, Harsh here, back in another video, and this is my stupidest friend that you can possibly find on this. See what he's doing. So today we are going to build a PC, and this is a budget PC, so you can build it under 550k. So that's pretty nice.
So let's get started.
So you might be wondering where is the case. So here is the case. Oh, come on. So let's unbox this first. Now for the processor, I am using the AMD Ryzen 5 1600 series. It is a very good processor. It has a clock speed of 3.2 GHz with a boost of 0.6 GHz. So when you are mounting the processor, all you have to notice is golden triangle right here, and notice a triangle on the socket. Then there would be some sort of tension rod here that lifts off just like this, and then you can just gently align the triangle on the processor and on the socket and just place it gently. And once it's not moving, you can just move the tension rod back towards its position and to lock the processor. So now the processor is locked, and we can go ahead and move on to the cooler. Now on different type of motherboard, you will have a different type of mounting for different type of coolers. So it is just the stock mounting that is here. So let's remove it and we will mount the stock cooler just for now. But later on you can add water cooling if you want to, and don't use any type of cooling if you want to live like a hot guy. So let's remove the stock mounting. Now we can go ahead and mount the cooler to it. Now we will be using a single stick RAM. This is a single stick 16 GB RAM from Harddrive, and it has RGB on it. Okay, so let's fill it out of the box. And you should not do this on top of your motherboard, I suggest, but we are professionals, so we are doing it. As you can see that there is a notch right here, and you can align it with the notch on the RAM socket over here. Now if you are using single RAM, then you might need to check which slot you need to plug your RAM in, and for my case it's the first from the CPU, so this socket right here. So let's stick it into the socket. So first of all, you have to just pull out the tabs, align the knot perfectly, and just to the slot as well, and then stick it in place, and then the tabs will go on automatically. So installing our RAM is done. So for our OS we are using a SSD, so it is a 240 gig SSD from Western Digital, which is owned by SanDisk. So let's peel it open. So on my motherboard, the socket is right below the processor, so let's mount the SSD here. On the SSD, all you have to do is just stick it in the slot, the M.2 slot, and this particular has a M key on it. So there is a very little screw that you will find on your motherboard, and it is in this packet, so please don't throw away, because we almost threw it away and lost our precious screw that we need to mount the SSD to it. So as you can see, it is a little bit short, so we will take this standoff right here and mount it on here, and then we can just use this screw and just stick it in place. Okay, so to mount the other thing, we need the PC cabinet, which is lying over there. So let's bring it over here and mount this motherboard first, and then we'll mount the graphic cards and the power supply and then the hard drive. So let's get to it. Okay, before mounting the motherboard, we have to mount the IO shield. So this is the top of my motherboard, so this will be facing this way. So let's mount it right here, and it's a simple press fit, so you don't need to use any screws or anything like that. So just align it and then just press it. So let's take the motherboard and then gently place it into the case, aligning it perfectly with the IO shield. Okay, so once it's all aligned and settled down, now you can use these screws which comes with the case to mount this on 9 different points. So as you can see that here are the pre-cutted holes on the motherboard, so let's use these screws and just mount it in place. Now we will use a 550 watt power supply for our PC, so let's mount it inside the PC. So it is a pretty tedious process, but we have to do it. Make sure that everything is aligned perfectly, and then once you are happy with the fit, you can just use the screws that are provided in the case to mount the power supply unit to the case. Okay, so now all we have to do is lift the case up just like this, and then we have to remove the back panel. So these are thumb screws, so we will do by hand. So let's just remove them. So all the cables that are in the power supply and the fans will go first here, and then from here you can pass the main 24-pin connector and all the fan connectors. So let's connect them. Now this is the front IO ports, the USB and some others. So here is the USB 3 port and the power connector for the LED. So as you can see right now here that some spots are missing, and you can match them according to the motherboard, and you can easily just mount them. So just by seeing this you can just mount them properly, and if you are not sure about that, you can just check your manual. So let's connect them. Okay, so let me go to the connections in a summary, because it is a very tedious process for cable management and there are still some cable dangling around over here. So this is the 24-pin connector for your motherboard. This is the main power for your motherboard which we are going to connect, and then here is the 8-pin connector over at the back right below the power supply unit, and this will supply power to the CPU. And this is the smaller version of my graphic card, so this will not require any external power, but if it has external power it will be right here in this slot right here, so you can connect it to have a higher power graphic card. And as for front IO, all the things are labeled pretty easily. So these are the cables that goes to the front IO, and these go to the bottom over here. And it is a mess down there, but you will need to check your motherboard manual for that, because every motherboard I think has a different type of connection and it is hard to memorize them, so please use your manual. Then there are the fan connections that are connected to the power supply unit as well. So let's connect our hard drive. This is a 1 terabyte hard drive, so let's open it, and all things are packed very well. I will need a scissor I think. So let's mount it on the drive bay right here. So we will secure this with these screws right here, and then we can go ahead and connect the SATA cables to the hard drive and the power cable, which is somewhere in the back. So let's get to it. Okay, so now let's unbox the graphic card, and it is a GTX 1050 Ti. Pretty good graphic card, 4 GB of RAM. So let's unbox it. So with the help of cameraman, which is me of course, so we have unboxed it. So now this is the money shot right here. And the box is very black and pretty good. Some cover stuff, some manual, and the main thing, the graphic card. Let's mount it on the PC. Now mounting the graphic card is pretty simple, it is just like RAM. All you have to do is just stick it into the SLI slot by opening a tab, and then just press it in firmly until it's inside the SLI port, and then use the screw mount to secure it. And now we are going to connect the RGB strip to make it look a lot nicer, so let's get to it. Okay, so the connection is done with the RGB light, and it is connected to JRGB1. It is written on the other side, you can see. So this will go to the RGB light from this wire over here, and the RGB light is perfectly concealed inside the frame. And now we can go ahead and start programming the PC. Now all you have to do is insert the bootable pen drive onto your USB port and start up the PC. Okay, so it has directly prompted us to install the Windows from a bootable, so let's install it, and it is a pretty simple process. Click on install now, and setup is starting, so we will wait for a while. So we will access the library and whatnot. So we are going to install it on the MC, so we will click on advanced options, and as you can see that this is the SD right here, which is 223.6 GB. So this is our SD, so we will select that, and this is our 1 terabyte hard drive. If you want to install it, here you can install it, but we are going to install it on our SSD, so let's click on it and click on next, and now it starts installing the Windows. So let's wait for a while and then see the performance of the computer. So at this point your PC may restart several times or just one time, because installation is complete, and it will restart the Windows up and tell you to restart in 2 seconds and 1 second, and it will automatically restart. So let's hope for the best that the Windows is properly installed in the PC, and
set it up and